Your heart can be a weakness. It is sometimes a force working against your better judgment, living inside your chest. They told you to follow it. They told you that passion is the engine of greatness. But consider this. Look at some of the challenging moments in your own life. Every questionable decision, every message you wish you hadn't sent, every opportunity that slipped through your fingers because you were overwhelmed by fear or anxiety or excessive excitement. What was the common denominator? Unchecked emotion. You felt intensely, and because you felt without balance, you stumbled. The world often favors those who remain composed. It favors the strategic thinker. It belongs to the men and women who can look at a crisis and feel primarily the drive to calculate the next move. Niccolo Machiavelli, the man who wrote the operating manual for power, did not write extensively about unbridled passion. He wrote about virtù, strategic prowess and effectiveness, and he understood a truth that comfortable society tries to shield you from knowing. The person who maintains emotional distance often controls the most. If you can learn to create separation between your reality and your emotional response, you become incredibly difficult to manipulate. You cannot be easily hurt. You cannot be easily controlled. You cannot be easily predicted. You enter a state of existence I call the zero state. Most people live their lives at a fever pitch. Up, down, happy, sad, manic, depressed. They are leaves in a hurricane. I am going to teach you how to become the eye of the storm. But this is not for those seeking comfort. We are not here merely to manage your anxiety. We are here to fundamentally transform the part of you that reacts without thinking. If you are ready to stop being controlled by fleeting feelings and start achieving mastery, listen carefully. You must understand what you are working against. You are working against your own biology. Evolution did not design you to be consistently happy, and it certainly didn't design you to be a CEO, a leader, or a person of significant influence. It designed you to survive in a tribe of approximately 50 people on the savannah. Your emotions, fear, shame, desire for approval, are outdated programming. Fear was meant to stop you from being killed by predators. Now fear stops you from starting the business. Fear stops you from walking away from situations that diminish you. The programming is misfiring. It is sounding alarm bells in a room that is actually safe. When you experience a strong emotion, your prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for logic, strategy, and long-term planning, becomes compromised. You become less capable of rational thought. You become reactive, responding to immediate stimuli rather than calculated planning. Machiavelli knew this centuries before neuroscience confirmed it. He observed that a prince who ruled by emotion was a prince whose reign would likely be short. He wrote, "Men are so simple and so ready to obey present necessities that he who deceives will always find those who allow themselves to be deceived." Translate that. He is saying that emotionally driven people are predictable. They react to present necessities, discomfort, hunger, desire, fear. And because they react predictably, they are easier to influence. If I can make you angry, I can control your next move. If I can make you crave my validation, I own your behavior. If I can make you feel guilty, I control your decisions. The first step to winning consistently is to reclaim ownership of your own mental pathways. You must look at your emotions not as absolute truth, but as signals, sometimes useful, sometimes misleading noise. Imagine you are a pilot flying a plane through a storm. Your instruments are giving conflicting readings, alarms are screaming warnings. The amateur pilot panics. He follows the screaming alarms without critical thought. He crashes. The master pilot evaluates the noise. He looks at the actual horizon. He trusts his training and coordinates. He maintains composure. He lands the plane safely. You are the pilot. Your emotions are sometimes like those unreliable instruments during a storm. Learn when to acknowledge them and when to override them. This is where we leave the realm of basic self-help and enter the realm of strategic power. You need to transform hope from a passive state into active intention. I know that sounds counterintuitive. You've been told hope is beautiful. Hope is supposedly the thing with feathers. But consider this, hope without action is simply waiting. Hope in its passive form is the strategy of those without agency. The person who only hopes is waiting for the world to give them something. They are waiting for luck. They are waiting for mercy. They are waiting for the perfect time that never comes. Machiavelli had complex views on fortune, or fortuna. He believed in luck, yes, but he believed that fortune favored those who took bold action, not those who waited passively. When you only hope, you give up control. You say, I hope this works out. The Machiavellian mindset says, I will create conditions where success becomes more likely. Do you see the fundamental difference? One is passive and dependent. One is active and self-directed. Think of the last time you were in a genuinely difficult situation, perhaps financial pressure, perhaps a relationship ending. You spent time hoping it would improve. You prayed, you visualized, and what actually changed? Very little. The situation only truly shifted when you became clear-headed, when you looked at the numbers objectively, saw what needed to change, and made the difficult decision. When you looked at the relationship, honestly, saw what was not working, and took definitive action. Decisive action reduces fear. Passive hope prolongs it. You must replace passive hope with strategic calculation. Stop fantasizing emotionally about the future. Do not spend mental energy dreading potential defeat. Simply look at the situation objectively. Make the next logical move. If you encounter a setback, do not waste energy on despair. Do not wait for a miracle. Look at what remains. Adjust your approach. Move again. This is the zero state. It is a space free from desperate expectation. When you expect nothing emotionally, you are prepared for everything practically. Machiavelli wrote, "A prudent man should always follow in the footsteps of great men and imitate those who have been most outstanding, so that if his own virtue does not reach that height, at least it will have some trace of it." Great men do not sit around hoping. They execute plans. Start today. Catch yourself saying, "I hope." Stop. Rephrase it. "I intend." "I will." "I am taking action toward." Eliminate the passive beggar mentality inside you. We are going deeper. This is the part that will challenge your current thinking. Good. Comfort is the enemy of growth. If you want to achieve mastery, you must learn to manage pity carefully. Pity is often disguised as empathy, but they are fundamentally different. Empathy is understanding what someone experiences. Pity is suffering unnecessarily because they are suffering, and often pity is just a form of condescension. You look at someone struggling and feel superior while feeling bad for them. But in the game of strategic living, excessive pity is a leak in the hull of your ship. Machiavelli was analytical on this topic. He examined Cesare Borgia, a man who brought order to a chaotic region by being absolutely decisive. He dealt with threats swiftly and publicly. He established clear consequences, and the result was peace, stability, and eventual prosperity. Machiavelli argued that well-used severity is actually a form of practical compassion. By being firm, you prevent the chaos that hurts everyone in the long run. How does this apply to you? You have people in your life right now who are struggling, and you are trying to save them. You are lending them money you cannot afford to lose. You are listening to their same complaints for the 100th time. You are slowing down your own progress to carry them. Why? Because you feel pity. You feel guilty for advancing while they remain stagnant. Stop. You cannot save everyone. And by trying to rescue those who will not help themselves, you often drag yourself down to their level. This sounds harsh. It is. But observe nature. Does the lion stop to pity the gazelle that is injured? No. The ecosystem depends on natural selection. If you are a leader, a parent, or a creator, you owe the world your strength, not shared weakness. When you feel pity rising, ask yourself, is this emotion helping them solve the actual problem, or is it just making me feel good about being a rescuer? Usually, it's the latter. Machiavelli advised that it is safer to be respected than merely loved if you cannot be both. Why? Because love is held by a chain of obligation which people, being self-interested, will break whenever it serves their purpose. But respect maintained by clear boundaries never fails. I am not telling you to be cruel to your family. I am telling you to stop letting unexamined sentiment make your important decisions. If an employee is creating toxicity, make the difficult decision. Do not pity their personal circumstances excessively. That is their responsibility to manage. If you keep them, you harm the entire team. That becomes your responsibility. If a partner is genuinely harmful, exit the situation. Do not pity their past trauma as an excuse for present damage. Acknowledge it with compassion, but look objectively at the current behavior and results. This is the clarity of the surgeon. The surgeon cuts the tissue to save the body. He does not cry over the incision. He does not hesitate because the procedure causes temporary discomfort. He focuses on removing what is harmful. He removes it with precision. Be the surgeon of your own life. There is a paradox in desperate desire. The more you desperately want something, the more it seems to move away from you. You've observed this. The person who is desperate for romantic attention rarely gets it. The salesperson who desperately needs the commission projects anxiety and the client walks away. Desperate desire creates tension. Tension creates mistakes. To win consistently, you must act as if you need nothing desperately. This is strategic detachment. It is the ability to look at a high-stakes situation, a major opportunity, a confrontation, a crisis, and internally maintain calm. It matters objectively, but it doesn't control me emotionally. When you detach from being controlled by the outcome, you gain total control over your process. Think of the samurai philosophy. The samurai accepts the possibility of death before the battle begins. He considers himself already at peace with mortality. If he has already accepted the worst, he has no paralyzing fear. If he has no paralyzing fear, his movements are efficient. He does not flinch. He strikes with total clarity. You must apply this principle to your ambitions. Walk into the negotiation genuinely willing to walk away, truly willing, not as a manipulative bluff, but because you are so solid in your own value that the loss of this particular deal means you will find another path. Machiavelli writes about the fox and the lion. The lion uses strength. The fox uses intelligence and strategy. The emotionally driven person is neither. He is the rabbit. He runs. He freezes. The strategic person can be the fox. He can play the game skillfully because he isn't desperately afraid of losing. Have you ever tried to argue with someone who genuinely was not emotionally invested in winning the argument? It's incredibly frustrating for the emotional person. You raise your voice, you express hurt, you make threats, and they just look at you, calm, present. Are you finished? They maintain the position of power. They win because your emotional storm crashed against their wall of composure and dissolved into nothing. This is the power you are building. The next time you face a crisis, try this. Visualize the worst-case scenario honestly. See it happen in your mind. See yourself losing the job, the relationship, the money. Accept it as a possibility. Make peace with it. Say to yourself, I have already accepted this possibility. Then open your eyes and handle the problem with whatever you have. You will find that your hands stop shaking. Your voice becomes steadier. Your thinking becomes razor sharp because you are no longer fighting desperately just to survive. You are strategizing, and the strategist always beats the victim. Let's address the uncomfortable truth. You are human. You will experience difficult emotions. Machiavelli was not without feeling. He was tortured. He was exiled. He knew suffering intimately. But he did not wallow in it endlessly. He intellectualized it. He took his pain and he turned it into writing, the prince that has survived for 500 years and influenced countless leaders. When you experience negative emotions, anger, jealousy, the sting of betrayal, do not simply repress them. Repression leads to eventual explosion. Instead, Examine them. Treat your emotions like data to be analyzed. I am feeling anger right now. Interesting. Why? Because he disrespected me. Why does his disrespect trigger me? Because I am uncertain about my status. Ah, that is the root issue I need to address. Do you see what happened? You moved from feeling the anger to analyzing the anger. You moved from the reactive limbic system to the analytical prefrontal cortex. The moment you analyze an emotion, it ceases to be purely an emotion and becomes a thought. And thoughts can be examined and controlled. Pure emotions cannot. This is the transformational process of the exceptional individual. The average person gets angry and punches a wall or says something destructive. The strategic person gets angry and writes a plan for how to never be in that vulnerable position again. The average person gets sad and numbs themselves with distractions. The strategic person gets sad and builds systems to ensure they never feel that particular vulnerability again. Fortune is the arbiter of one half of our actions, Machiavelli wrote, but she leaves us to direct the other half. Your emotions are like weather. They are fortune. You cannot stop the rain completely, but you can build the roof. You can channel the water to power your purposes. Use your anger as fuel for action. Use your fear as a radar system for identifying risks. Use your jealousy as a map showing you what you actually want. But never ever let these emotions take the steering wheel of your decisions. You are the observer. You are the analyst. You are the architect of your response. Feel what you feel, but use everything strategically. Now, an important warning. If you walk around appearing like a cold, emotionless statue, people will react negatively. They will fear you, yes, but they will also distrust and potentially work against you. Humans are social animals. They trust warmth. They trust appropriate emotional expression. So you must learn the art of the social mask. Machiavelli is famous for saying, "It is necessary to be a great pretender and concealer." Inside, you maintain the zero state. You are calm. You are calculating. You are strategically detached. But outside you must be appropriately charming. You must be warm when it serves your purposes. You must nod and laugh and make eye contact and make people feel valued when it is strategic to do so. This is not hypocrisy. This is social intelligence. If you show the world your complete emotional detachment, you become a target. Society instinctively tries to eliminate anyone who refuses to play the emotional game in the expected way. They label them negatively. So give people what they expect. Give them the appropriate performance. When your boss tells a mediocre joke, laugh lightly. Not because it's genuinely funny, but because it builds social capital. When your adversary tries to provoke you, smile calmly. Not because you are happy, but because it conceals your true thoughts and plans. The separation between your internal state and your external presentation is the ultimate measure of self-control. Can you feel intense anger inside, but speak with a voice like silk? Can you feel uncertain, but stand with the posture of complete confidence? If you can do this, you become very difficult to read. And if you are difficult to read, you are extremely difficult to defeat. Most people are completely transparent. They wear their hearts on their sleeves. And that is precisely why they accumulate emotional scars so easily. Wear the appropriate social mask. Keep your true thoughts in a vault. Be a mirror to others. Reflect what they want to see. And behind the mirror, observe them carefully. Study them. This is how you move through the world without unnecessary friction. You pass through social gates because you appear as an ally. You enter rooms because you know the unwritten codes. And once you are inside, that is when you advance your agenda. Let's dismantle another cultural myth. Society tells you that selfishness is inherently wrong. They tell you to be selfless, to put others first constantly, to be a martyr. Who tells you this? Often, the people who benefit from your sacrifice. The employer who wants you to work unpaid overtime tells you to be a team player. The partner who refuses to grow tells you to be unconditionally supportive. The family member who drains your resources tells you family always comes first. They are extracting value from you. Machiavelli understood that a prince must prioritize his own position and strength, not out of pure vanity, but out of necessity. If the sun burns out, the planets die. If you burn out completely, everyone who depends on you suffers. You must adopt what I call strategic self-priority. This does not mean you are delusional or cruel. It means you recognize that you are the most valuable asset you possess. Your energy, your mental clarity, your time, these are finite resources. Every time you get emotionally entangled in someone else's self-created drama, you are writing a check from your own limited account to pay for their choices. Stop funding what diminishes you. You must treat your energy like a fortress. The drawbridge is selective. Only those who bring genuine value get access. If someone disrespects you repeatedly, do not feel wounded. Feel nothing personally. Simply recognize this person is a liability to my well-being. And create distance. This is not cruelty. This is healthy boundaries. You wouldn't let someone dump garbage in your living room. Why do you let them dump their unprocessed issues into your mind? Machiavelli wrote, "A wise prince should rely on what is in his own control, not on what is in the control of others. Your self-worth is in your control. Their opinion is not." When you stop needing the world to constantly applaud you, you become very powerful because you can no longer be easily bribed or manipulated. Most people are inexpensive to influence. They can be bought with a compliment. They can be bought with a smile. They can be bought with the promise of being liked. But the person who values himself appropriately, he is expensive. He is rare. He walks into a room and does not scan desperately for approval. He scans for opportunity. He is not looking primarily for a friend. He is looking for a productive outcome. Be your own priority. Burn bright. Let others orbit you if they choose, or let them move on. But never dim your light to make insecure people comfortable. We need to talk about strategic silence, not the weak silence of avoidance. I am talking about the intentional silence of the strategist. Machiavelli taught that it is essential to keep your intentions concealed. He who wishes to succeed will never fail in finding those who can be influenced. The greatest mistake you make repeatedly is broadcasting your next move prematurely. You get excited. You feel that rush of anticipation. You tell your friend about your business idea. You tell your partner about your plan to confront someone. You just weakened the plan significantly. Why? 2 reasons. First, your brain confuses talking about doing something with actually doing it. You get the chemical reward of accomplishment without the actual work. Your drive diminishes. Second, and more strategically dangerous, you gave them a map to potentially block you. When people know what you want, they know how to obstruct you. They know how to leverage you. You must become harder to read, be vague, be appropriately ambiguous. When they ask, "What are you working on?" you say, "A few projects," smile, change the subject. When they ask, "Are you upset?" you say, "No, just thinking." Maintain composure. Let them project their own assumptions onto you. If you are strategically silent, they will fill in the blanks themselves. They will think, "He's planning something significant. He knows something I don't. He's evaluating me." Good. Let them wonder. In the absence of information, the human mind tends to assume power and capability. Use this. If you are negotiating, do not reveal your bottom line. Do not explain why you need the deal. Maintain composure. State your terms, then stop talking. The silence will become heavy. It will create pressure. They will start to feel uncomfortable. They will start to bid against themselves just to break the tension. You didn't do anything aggressive. You simply refused to give them the comfort of seeing all your cards. Machiavelli advises us to learn from the fox. The fox tracks its prey without making noise. Stop announcing every new beginning. Stop posting your every effort. Work quietly. Let the results be the only noise you make. The thunder comes after the lightning strikes. Be the lightning. Here is what you need to understand clearly. I will not mislead you. If you follow this path, if you eliminate passive hope, excessive pity, desperate need for validation, you are going to experience what weak people call loneliness. At least that's what those who don't understand will call it. They will look at you standing on the mountain and say, look how isolated he is. But you will know it is not loneliness, it is solitude. There is a massive difference. Loneliness is the pain of being alone. Solitude is the power of being alone. The sheep are never lonely. They are huddled together, warm, moving as a group in reactive patterns. They are safe in numbers, yes, but they are still sheep. The eagle flies alone. Machiavelli was a man of the court and politics, but he did his greatest work in exile, alone in his study, thinking deeply and writing. When you enter the zero state, you lose your tolerance for meaningless gossip. You lose your tolerance for conversations that go nowhere. You lose your tolerance for people who complain endlessly but never change anything. You will look around one day and realize your circle has become smaller. Don't panic. This is the shedding of what was weighing you down. You are trading quantity for quality. You are trading noise for signal. In the clarity of your solitude, you will hear something you haven't heard clearly in years. Your own authentic voice, your true ambition, your genuine power. The crowd drowns you out. Solitude amplifies you. Do not fear the empty room. The empty room is where the leader sits. The throne is a single seat. It is not a bench. If you want to rule your own life, you must get comfortable with the clarity of focused solitude. Embrace what others call coldness. Strategic detachment preserves. Emotional chaos deteriorates. The herd is warm, but it is often stagnant. You are focused, and you are progressing. We arrive at the final transformation, when you feel less controlled by fear, less burdened by regret, less consumed by envy. What remains? Are you a machine without humanity? No, you are finally free to engage with life on your terms, not the sticky, needy dependency of the child, but the clear engagement of the strategist. You achieve something close to the Stoic ideal which Machiavelli respected, amor fati, a love of fate. But the Machiavellian version is this: you love the fate you actively create. When you are emotionally reactive, you are a victim of circumstance. Why did this happen to me? When you are strategic, you are the master of your response. This happened. Here is how I use it. You stop judging events as simply good or bad. Those are words for those who don't think strategically. There is only useful or not useful. You lost the money. Useful. Now you have the motivation to rebuild with better systems. She left you. Useful. Now you have the freedom to focus entirely on your purpose. You failed at something. Useful. You just eliminated an approach that doesn't work. This is the ultimate resilience. You become what Nassim Taleb calls anti-fragile. The more the world challenges you, the stronger you become. You look at the chaos of the world, the conflicts, the markets shifting, the betrayals, and you do not feel paralyzing anxiety. You feel focused energy because you know that chaos creates opportunity. And while everyone else is overwhelmed and looking down, you are climbing. You feel nothing wasted on the tragedy. You feel everything focused on the opportunity. This is what it means to win consistently. It is not just about the money or the status. It is about the unshakable knowledge that you can handle whatever comes. You have the framework. You have the principles. While they are playing checkers with their hearts, you are playing chess with your mind. And the strategist never panics unnecessarily. So look at yourself. Who were you at the start of this message? A bundle of reactions? A machine responding to every stimulus? A victim of your own biology? And who are you now? You are the observer. You are the fox. You are the lion. You have the tools to cut the strings of emotional manipulation. Imagine walking into your life tomorrow with this operating system. The insult lands and you feel it, but it doesn't control you. You smile, you analyze, you respond strategically. The crisis hits and you feel the pressure, but you don't panic. You calculate. You execute. You advance. The fear whispers and you acknowledge it, then step forward anyway. You move. It is a form of power. It is knowledge that is rarely taught, because if everyone operated this way, many systems of control would collapse. Society often relies on your fear to sell you things, to sell you status symbols, to keep you working without questioning. But you have chosen to step out of the reactive line. You have chosen strategic thinking, and in that focused clarity, you have found the thing that actually matters, the will to shape your own existence. But ask yourself this final question as you finish this message and return to your own thoughts. Can you actually do it? Or are you perhaps attached to your own patterns of suffering? Because for many people, the familiar pain is a comfort blanket. They are accustomed to the drama. They are accustomed to the victim role. It gives them an excuse to remain average. To let go of being controlled by your emotions is to let go of your excuses. If you feel less controlled, you have fewer reasons not to pursue greatness. And that is the most challenging thought of all. Are you ready to lose your excuses, or will you go back to familiar patterns? The choice is yours to make. But remember, the world does not wait for those who sleep. It moves on without them.